Like a proud Eastern European woman who didn't give consent, Ukraine has spent the last week slapping Russian forces who got a little grabby. It's the short stop that's on everyone's mind, so let's break down this week's latest and best developments. Russian advances into Ukraine continue as tens of thousands of little green men slowly flood throughout the country. Slowly being the opportune word, as Russian forces have encountered numerous problems that have bogged them down. And I know, what a nice Uno reversal this is for everyone involved.
The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia.
Russian troops have now seized the strategically important city of Kherson, located in the south, while in the east, Russian forces continue to lay siege to Kharkiv, the second largest city. This included a Russian airborne drop into the city of 1.4 million, which to me doesn't sound like a great idea when Ukraine is quite literally arming every citizen it possibly can. A Ukrainian official said practically there are no areas left in the city where an artillery shell has not yet hit. Move over war crimes. This offensive includes reports of Russian attacks on residential areas, kindergartens, and even a hospital, if you consider that worse than a strike on a kindergarten. It seems that in light of this slower pace, the Russian military have switched gears and are stepping up its targeting of civilian areas in an effort to both demoralize the Ukrainian people and destroy key infrastructure. Let me cheer you up by momentarily giving out this week's award for Russian Shenanigan of the Week, which goes to these Russian infantry ransacking a supermarket. I can only imagine what Russian MREs must taste like. Meanwhile, several explosions continue to rock Kyiv, leading to some 15,000 people sheltering in the city's subways. The Russian push for the capital has otherwise stalled. In what I can only describe as a fighter pilot's wet dream, a massive and tightly packed Russian convoy has now spent days backed up on Ukrainian highways. These images of the convoy appear to show them spending this time regrouping after facing unexpected resistance from Ukrainian defenders. Ukrainian fighters who can't find an A-10 at the moment decided to launch attacks on the juicy target anyways. Go get 'em, boys. Now the Russian Ministry of Defense has, for the first time in this war, acknowledged casualties, giving us an impression of what effect the Ukrainian resistance is having. Russia conceded 498 Russian dead and a further 1,597 injured, while also claiming to have killed 2,870 Ukrainian soldiers. Ukraine has not officially released its own casualty reports, but they were happy to counter these numbers with their own figure of over 6,000 Russian dead, including several high-ranking officers. They've also placed their own civilian death toll around 2,000. UN civilian casualty reports conflict with these numbers, but really, considering the growing number of armed citizens, we won't know the truth of this for some time. As for the global community, they have stood up in a great show of collective support for the people of Ukraine. Demonstrations, fundraisers, and anti-war protests have swept the world. I can now expect every one of you to absolutely nail the colors of the Ukrainian flag on your next trip to Denny's. Due to an action plan that amounts to more than strongly worded letters, I am also happy to report that many international governments have been stumbling over themselves to send aid to Ukraine, while also simultaneously condemning the actions of the Russian government. Weapons and supplies from all corners are flooding into the hands of Ukrainian resistance. Canada has decided that direct and open action will replace the more safer option of political tiptoeing, as we have pledged to immediately deliver anti-tank weapons and ammunition from Canadian Forces stockpiles. This message and the impact it will have cannot be understated. Canadian weapons are being officially sanctioned for the direct use of killing Russian soldiers. Good luck finding a Karl G anywhere. On top of this, Poland has sent MiGs, Germany Stingers, Portugal G3 rifles, and the list continues. Nearly 20 countries have begun sending military assistance. Hell, even notoriously neutral Switzerland shocked everyone by promising lethal aid to Ukraine. You know you messed up when the country that shrugged off the Nazis' takeover of Europe suddenly decides you've gone too far.
Slava Ukraini.
These sanctions have destroyed the value of the ruble and crippled the Russian economy. President Biden declared that these sanctions will require more time to have greater effect, but Russia is now effectively isolated from the world. Good thing you can make vodka out of almost anything these days. In Russian cities, people are now scrambling to salvage their dire situation as companies across the globe are cutting their business ties to the country and instead replacing their service with a big "f*** you." For the Russian 1%, hundreds of billions have simply evaporated from their pockets or been locked away from the hands of the ultra-rich. I mean, they're losing yachts left and right. Throughout all of this, Vladimir Putin has continued to display strong confidence, showing little concern for the damage being done to his motherland. He seems more concerned with his work towards, yes, the denazification of Ukraine. Last week, officials from Moscow met with a team of delegates to begin the first round of peace negotiations, but the only conclusion was an agreement to try meeting again in the future. Ukrainian President Zelensky, who has become a strong symbol of both Ukrainian defiance and large testicles, told the press he refuses these peace talks. He's pissed that Russia did not choose neutral ground for the negotiations, and more importantly, because they've chosen to continue shelling his country while they're at the peace table. The International Criminal Court is now investigating Russia over war crimes they may have committed. What's happening now? The lead element for the NATO response force has assembled in neighboring Romania. This vanguard consists mainly of French troops, and their mandate is only to protect NATO territory. Europe's largest power plant was recently captured by Russian forces after fierce fighting set several areas on fire, and well, that could end poorly. If you want your own chance to enhance Ukrainian freedom, you can head there now to join the newly formed International Brigade of Foreign Fighters. Over 16,000 volunteers are traveling to join the resistance. On arrival, they will be armed, given a TikTok account, and sent toward the Russian forces. In all of this, we shouldn't forget those Russian citizens who didn't ask to be turned into sunflowers. Some 2,000 Russian people have been detained during anti-war protests, and mixed polls show that around half of the Russian population does have a positive view of Ukraine. Currently, there's every sign that the war is escalating. The question now is, can the increasing sanctions and lethal support stem the Russian bravado before this conflict engulfs more lives? Thanks for watching.
Є люди, які вже мають воєнний досвід, які є ветеранами, є люди, які проміняли там якусь ручку чи клавіатуру на автомат, але вони готові стояти до кінця.
It's very unusual.